So for the past couple of years, I want to say more so the past couple of months, I've been under a lot of stress. And I think recently with my experiences, I've reached the peak. Stress from having to be a father and to make the necessary lifestyle changes, living in a place that's generally not where I want to be in. And experiencing an increased amount of physical pain due to my past injuries. I think the weather also is playing a role in this. And just an ongoing struggle in seeing things through, or at least for me, to being a bit more optimistic. I know, man. I know. I am that guy that's positive, motivating, and generally optimistic. But even I have my dark days. So not long ago, after some deep meditation sessions and using the aid of healing crystals, which I definitely want to share with you guys later on in the future, perhaps. I'm still exploring and learning this and finding ways to best explain how I first came to this and breaking down more tangible or scientific approach of how healing crystals are extremely effective in helping regulate our stressors as well as centering ourselves. So moving into the topic of this video is that I've gained overall in those meditative sessions some inner clarity, which has allowed me to pick myself up and to push forward. And one of the reflections I had that has pushed me into action is the topic of this video: improvise, adapt, and overcome. This topic falls under the category of mental resilience. Now, this concept was first taught to me in the United States Marine Corps. And this is truly the embodiment of Marines, because our motto is always mission first. I remember at boot camp that in combat or life in general, things will not always be readily available, and neither will it always be that we get what we want. No plan is perfect without some adjustments, and these adjustments may need to be quick or progressive. And as you're seeing here, sometimes it ain't always going to be pretty. To improvise is to recognize where you are right now, where you want to go, and to ultimately do all that you can with what you got. I'm going to say that again. To do all that you can with what you got. In this case, my apartment complex has been on and off with construction. This meant not having a patio, limited parking availability, and availability, edgy neighbors, a crap ton of noise, that's for sure. And additionally, remember, I'm at home. I'm stuck at home in a sense. I look after my daughter. I have my own personal development work to do. And I'm also in that process of becoming an entrepreneur, but also kind of holding that off a little bit because of so much going on. But that's part of who I am and what I'm doing. And with all of this stuff going on, that's constantly getting in the way for me to project my desires forward. These are the things that have occurred to me during my meditation, which is to improvise, adapt, and overcome. So at this point, my mission, right? We talked about mission always first mentality. The mission here is to get my workout in, no matter what. I've been running a program that I've designed to see how it operates and how it's functioning. And before I push it out into the market, I'm committed to first stick to the plan and seeing how it's functioning, how it's working, making sure I make some adjustments if here and there if necessary to accommodate the masses. And additionally, I love fitness, right? I love to work out, and I truly understand the importance of a healthy body, because in return, it's going to help me think clearer, and emotionally, it's going to help me feel better, not only about myself or image, right? It just helps me feel better in terms of physiology, helping me to perform optimally, helping me to flow, to breathe, nourishing my body and the workout in itself. There's a process there on a deeper level that I find extremely enjoyable. So since my squat rack is outside, I had to think outside the box. And I had to get creative, and in order to do that, to create that similar stimulus, I do have to get creative and look around everywhere at home to make this work. This is not ideal nor safe, but it gets the job done. So say you managed to make things work. You got creative, you use your head, and what resources you have to make this work in order for things to work out. But suddenly, life's spontaneous nature, or in this case, my daughter, comes into the picture and wants to engage with my attention. Remember, mission first. Sometimes when obstacles appear to continue moving forward, we need to adapt. We need to adapt to the situation. How you adapt and the promptness of your adaptation varies from situation to situation and from person to person. Looking after and raising my daughter is one of my highest priorities. I would say that I consider my family and the welfare of my family to be my main mission. Now, if I am to achieve this attain mission accomplishment, I got to be squared away. You get what I'm saying? Mentally, physically, and spiritually, I got to be squared away. And in this case, fortunately, my daughter is occupied doing her thing and all is good. So now I can focus on my specific mission, which is to work out. Having a confined space to work out, her appearing in and out, to me, that's like a distraction. But while I work out with heavy equipment around and the attention I need to perform optimally requires that I juggle my focus. Now I'm going to share some vulnerability here. This is legitimately my biggest hurdle. Mental agility, part of the mental resilience category, is an area I talk about, defined with my nature, my ambitions, my drive, the way I think and operate, including the goals that I'm after. It's very challenging. I'm typically laser focused kind of guy, like a bull charging forward at max speed. And when I get distracted, I get irritated. And I think part of the reason behind that is because my focus and some of that peacetime that I ever get throughout this entire time with everything that's going on is very hard to come by. And when I do get it, it's like all I want to do is protect it and maximize it as much as possible. And therefore I get defensive and it's like, oh, don't get in my way, don't bother me. This is like, and sometimes I got to work on how to best express that without having to be so much confrontational. So what do? Well, I got to make it work. I got to remain open-minded and flexible. When she comes around to want to play or seek attention, she's just a kid. She wants to bond. She just wants to connect and be there with daddy. I can only imagine how much fun and enthusiasm she has within her, especially when she sees me and puts that smile and puts on her mask to get my attention. Instead of getting all defensive and confrontational to her, understanding her current life, in position in life, I just tell her to join me and work out. I try to make it fun. And sometimes she's on board with it, and sometimes she ain't about that life. You know what I'm saying? She's like, nah, I'm just going to go watch TV. But I got lucky this time. She likes being on camera. That's for sure. If not, she'd be watching TV or playing on the tablet. So with having to improvise on my situation and to adapt with the changes, the only thing that's left to do is to overcome. The more we have to make do with what we got, and the further we push ourselves to adapt to various situations, the more likely we're going to be using up our internal resources. And in doing so, this starts to create stressors and build up on a lot of stress. So as we take up those resources, right, we start to experience stress in a negative manner. Now, having support and tools and the skills necessary to regulate stress is a form of overcoming hardships. I'll just share this real quick with you. I remember in boot camp, during the crucible, we had no real food. No freaking sleep. We were all cold. Cold, man. This is Paris Island. Wintertime. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was cold. Fingers, tips, toes, everything was cramping. And the worst part, too, that we were all sandy. We lacked sleep. Had a lot of sand between our crack, in our growing area, armpit, face, neck. And we were wet. It was cold, right? So we were wet, too. It was so uncomfortable. We were all exhausted, and it was not fun. All we wanted to do is to do the exact opposite of all that we were experiencing, to be somewhere warm, dry, cleaned, and just left alone. That's all we wanted. But we were very fortunate to have some good sense of humor. Joking and laughing between hardships, talking shit about each other, or sharing wishful futures generated camaraderie and hope, the foundation of optimism. In this case, my daughter, she doesn't know it, but man, she looks really funny with that mask on. I think it's because it's just so big on her, but it's just so funny to see her and the fact that she's having fun with it, just being there and just, I don't know what you're laughing at. Maybe you're just happy to have me and, and that's cool. It's working. But as you could see, these thoughts are influencing positive emotions, and in turn, allowing me to continue pushing forward, going through the challenges and any hardships, if anything. They invigorate the efforts of improvising and adapting. Generally speaking, we don't push ourselves towards great things for nothing. We have a purpose. You have a purpose, a personal mission, and that always comes first. So, if you're in a spot where you're feeling unmotivated, stuck in the sense of not just flowing with ideas or any hope of the future, of doing anything to the best of your ability, just seeing that things happen, basically, that you're stuck in this vicious cycle. Same position, same routine, same process of life in general, but you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed out, perhaps it's time for a change, to improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's all for this video. Thanks so much for watching and supporting this channel. By the way, guys, I do want to share with all of you that I am so close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. This was my 2021 goal. I'm behind a little, but that's okay. Life in itself, has a way of having me go through these challenges and obstacles, because it's really all that it's doing is forcing me to change and find ways to make things work. And doing so, I am growing, and I am so thankful for this experience. And I want to share that with all of you, because I really know, man, genuinely know what it's like to be in this position, feel all alone about it. And I'm a loner, right? I like doing that. It's just something I'm working on too. I'm a loner, but I have a few just as stubborn friends that tell me to snap out of it and share that struggle. If not with YouTube, personal friends, and just talking with them and hearing their journey and their struggles, if not their story, kind of just sparks something in there. So I hope that maybe that may have occurred here in this video. And if it did, and if you're open for it, please share with me what process of change has life had to offer, right? My philosophy, moments of great change. Amazing. Well, till next time, as always, train intentionally with maximum effort and be one with the iron.